Hello everyone. Today we are going to see the merge of two sorted lists in Swift from Leetcode. Let's go through the problem. You are given the heads of two sorted linked lists L1 and L2. Merge the two lists into one sorted list. The list should be made by splicing together the nodes of first two lists. Return the head of the merged list. So what does it mean is like we would be given two linked lists, like given in example 1, it has 1 2 4 values and the second list has 1 3 4. The expectation is to merge this list into single one, so it will be in ascending order. Quickly I'll try to explain how linked list is represented. So each item, each node is represented with two items. One is its value and other one is the pointer to the next node. So here in this one, if you see, it is representing 1 and the next one is pointing to the next node which also has the value 1. The next one is pointing to next node which has 2 and so on. So this is linked list. Moving ahead, for the solution there can be two types of solution. One can be recursive solution and other one is an iterative solution. Today we will talk about the recursive one. If you are interested to know the explanation of the iterative one, please comment down below. I will create the video for that as well. For recursion, we need to keep two things in mind. One is like base condition. Always we have to have one base condition for our solution so that our call can return. In the recursive call, we either increment, decrement the data so that it can reach to the base condition. So there has to be a way so that my recursive call can return, otherwise it can cause stack overflow. Let's understand the solution, then we would understand it with the call stack, how each recursive call is stored in the stack, call stack, and it is returned to give the solution of the merging of two linked lists in ascending order. Let's see. The very first base condition, if you see, is if my list 1 in the problem, it is given that there are two linked lists. One is list 1, other one is list 2. Both are representing the head of the linked list. The very first item of the linked list is called head. So if the linked list, first linked list is nil, we return list 2. If list 2 is nil, we return list 1. That is our base condition. When it could happen? When my list is at the end. So the very last node is pointing to nil, and if this nil is represented by L1, then it is going to be nil. So if we have such conditions, it will return list 2 for list 1, and if list 2 is nil, then it will return list 1. So now if you see the condition, we are checking if list1 dot val is less than list2 dot val, we would do a recursive call to merge. My function is called as merge, so it will call merge by incrementing the list 1 to the next node. So what it will do is my L1 will now represent L1 dot next, so it is talking about the next node. In else condition, suppose my L1 value is not less than L2, it could be equal to or greater than, then in that case we will assign list 2 dot next the value of merge, like we are calling this merge recursively. List 1 would be as it is, but list 2 would be pointing to the next node, so it would increment one node over here and then it will try to assign that value to the list 2 dot next. I cleaned up a bit so we can go for the explanation. As we know, the recursive call is going to be in the call stack, so the very first call will be at the bottom and the next call at the top, and it will go in same direction. From top it would start returning to the bottom. So let me start with the very first approach. For example, some function or the class would have called this merge function. So that call would look like this: r is equals to merge L1 and L2. So my L2 is like this. I am representing this node which is having 1 and this node 2 as black color, and when this is called there is no increment, it is a fresh first call for this recursive method. Now merge will go inside this method and check for the base condition. Does it fulfill the base condition? L1 is actually representing this node 1, L2 is representing 2. It is not at all nil. So it will go for the condition: is L1 dot val is less than L2 dot val? Yes, it is. So L1, which is 1, representing 1, is less than 2, right? Then it will fall into this condition. What it will do? It will try to get the value for the L1 dot next. So L1 dot next will be equal to next merge call. So here my merge is getting called recursively, but if you see, L1 dot next is incremented to the next node. So now it is going to represent 3. So L1 dot next means it is representing the next node. So my L1 is incremented, so it is of green color, but my L2 is not incremented, it is representing the black one. So my merge is called. Next, then again L1 is 3 and L2 is 2. It will come to the recursive call, then it will check for the base condition, neither is nil. Next it would go to the conditions. Is my L1 less than L2? No, because L1 is 3 and L2 is 2. So it will go to the else condition. In else condition, it would try to get the L2, right? So it will try to get the L2 dot next. So for L2 dot next, currently my function would be written like L1 will be as it is, which is of green color, but L2 is also incremented over here. So my 4 is also going to be represented with green color. Now both are actually L1 and L2 being incremented. Now the value of L1 and L2 is 3 and 4. So it will come into this flow again and it will check whether this is less than 4. So yes, so it will fall into the first condition, in the if condition. In that scenario, what do? We will assign L1 dot next the value of merge, but here L1 is getting incremented, right? So currently my L1 would be represented with 5. So orange color I am taking for 5. This is L1 and L2 is green. So now it will be same, right? So L2 is green color. Now if you see, it is like is L1, it will again go and call the recursion and it will check is L1 nil or L2 nil. So none of the base condition would be fulfilled. It would go to the if condition. If you see, L1 is 5 and L2 is 4. So this if condition would not be satisfied. So it will go to the next condition. Here it is trying to figure out the value of L2 dot next. So in case of L2 dot next, it will again call merge, right? merge but with different values. So L1 is going to be the orange color L1, which is representing 5, but L2 is going to be incremented, right? So now my orange color of 5 of L2 is going to represent this nil value, because L2 dot next, green color L2 dot next is what? This nil. So this is my L2. Now this nil is going to be part of this merge. So now in this recursive call here, if you see, L2 is equals to nil, which is the base condition of the else part, right? So else if part here L2 is nil, it will return L1 over here. So here in this call itself, it is going to return L1, right? So L2 dot next is now pointing to L1. So now this nil will not be pointed. Instead, L2 dot next would start pointing to this L1. Correct? Based on this condition. So now this call has been returned. So this will be popped out of our stack. So now for the L1, what we are sending, merge this value L1 and L2. So here we are sending 5 and 4, but we are trying to decide the value of this L1 dot next. So what it should point to, whether it should point to 5 or whether it should point to 4. So if you see, based on the condition, the lesser value is 4. So now it would start pointing to this node of L2. So you see here it would return L2, right? So now this call has also returned, so it will come out of my stack. Next is L2 dot next. Now we are trying to see this L2 dot next. Its next we are trying to decide based on these two values, whether 3 is lesser or 4 is lesser. Logically 3 is lesser, so this next node would start pointing to this 3, right? So here also the returned value would be equal to L1. So L2 dot next would start pointing to this node of the L1. Since this call has also returned, it would come out of the stack. Now next is L1 dot next. We are trying to decide the next for this value based on the past value, which are 3 and 2. Which one is lesser? So lesser value is true. So it will start pointing to L2. So this next node will start to point to L2. So if we see over here, this call also has returned, so it will come out of the stack. Now next call is the final result one. Now what it is doing, it is currently having L1 as the head node, right? So we will merge this one L1 and L2, and we are sending 1 and 2. So which one is lesser? 1. So it would start pointing to L1. L1 would be returned as the result. Hopefully it is understandable. Okay, let's quickly solve this problem. So first we start with the guard statement, as we have optional lists. So we need to bind against the guardlet, or if let can also. So let list2 equal to list2 else. Here itself we have our base condition. If any one of it is nil, then return list1. If that is also nil, then return list2. Moving to the logic, if list1 dot val is less than list2 dot val, then list1 dot next equal to merge two lists, list1 dot next would be incremented to the next node, and then list2 as it is. Then we return list1. else list2 dot next equal to same recursive method list1 as it is, but list2 will be passed as the next node, and then we return list2. Let's submit and check. So this has been accepted. See you in the next video.